Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today we're taking a look at every single LEGO Tobey Maguire minifigure that has ever been made, and thankfully there's been a lot of them, and a nice little resurgence here the past couple years. Now, these are all my original minifigs from when I was growing up, and it's so cool to have played with these when I was a kid, literally when they came out in stores and I got them at KB Toys, and now all these years later, I'm using those same minifigures to make YouTube videos that'll be seen around the world. That is just so cool, and I'm sure you can literally hear the smile on my face saying that. So with that being said, let's break down every LEGO Tobey Maguire minifigure that's ever been made. If you're a Raimi Spider-Man fan, you have to check out my music video for The Girl Next Door, which is a song I wrote about the Raimi Spider-Man movies. I would love it if you check it out, and I'll drop a link in the description below where you can watch it. I filmed it where they filmed the movies, so you'll notice lots of cool Easter eggs. So the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the first ever LEGO Marvel superhero came out in 2002 from the LEGO Studios line of sets. Now, he was only in one set back in 2002, but then he appeared in a few more sets the following year in 2003. Now, this version, as you can see, has a light blue color scheme for the arms, the sides of the torso, and of course the legs, and he had this great reflective printing for the silver webbing on the head, the torso, and the hips. It was very, very rare to get back printing, especially on the backs of torsos and heads, let alone hip printing, so this minifigure was groundbreaking, not only in being the first licensed superhero, the first Marvel superhero, and one of the first to get so much printing on it. It was an absolute standout back then, and it's still a standout today. Now, the original version came with this red clip that goes around the back of his neck so that you could attach him to like a clear piece and have him like fly and flip around your LEGO Studios creations, because those sets, while they were based off of the Spider-Man movie loosely, were more of like movie studio sets more than like play sets, so they were kind of interesting. But the following year, when just the regular Spider-Man sets came out, those were 100% play sets just based on Spider-Man, and that worked out just well there. Now, in that same studio set from 2002, we got our first ever Tobey Maguire minifigure, and this one was cool because you could actually reverse his head, so just like the movie, you know, he doesn't need the glasses anymore once he gets bit by the spider, and I always thought that that was cool. Again, very, very rare to get front and back head printing back in the day, but beyond that, it's a pretty simple figure, just black legs and a torso that was used elsewhere, so nothing too rare or uncommon, but definitely very cool that we got Tobey as Peter Parker and Spider-Man in the same set. The following year, 2003, would give us our Wrestler Spider-Man minifig, and I always love this torso, because when you look at it in the light, I really love how the print kind of fades in and out from the bottom, where it's like kind of faded out, and the top, it gets like darker and thicker. No printing on the back of the head or torso, but really it wasn't needed here, and of course this would be the last full year that LEGO didn't offer flesh tone for movie-themed characters, so it was really cool to see what we got here in a phenomenal minifig all around. That same year, we got a set called The Origins, where we got yet another version of Tobey Spider-Man, or I should say Tobey Peter Parker, this time with no reversible head and no printing on the back of the torso either, just plain old Peter Parker from the field trip where he gets bit by the spider. All things considered, this is a very, very accurate torso to what he wears in the movie, and honestly, I think it's aged pretty well that, like, it could almost be in a set today. The next year was Spider-Man 2, where we got yet another version of Spider-Man, and this time it's actually a dark blue color scheme, but basically the same as the previous figure all around. It does have some different shading and slightly different details, but overall both are just about the same on the front. On the back, you can see we got the updated spider for Spider-Man 2, because of course it is a new and different suit, and I go back and forth which of these I like better. You know, I grew up with both, so honestly my nostalgia for both is about equal, and I don't know, I just think both figures are great in their own ways, and at a certain point you really just can't compare them too hard as far as trying to pick a favorite, but both are really standouts all these years later, and it's hard to believe both of these are more than 20 years old. Man, time flies. Then we got our first ever flesh-tone Tobey Maguire minifigure from Spider-Man 2 as well. This came in the Doc Ock's Hideaway set, like his Doc place. I guess it's Doc Ock's Doc. I don't know. Anyways, this was a cool figure, and as you can see, there's a big scratch on the torso of this one because, like I said, these are all my original figures from when I was a kid. So I took these figures absolutely everywhere with me on all kinds of trips and camping and friends' houses, and just, man, these minifigs have been with me my entire life, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, a great minifig. Once again, very, very accurate to what we see Tobey wearing in the movie, and all things considered, a pretty detailed torso for 2004 that if this came out in a set today, I think a lot of people would just be like, yep, that's up to Lego standards. So the story of Lego Spider-Man is all this stuff has always been ahead of its time. And here we have the 4 Juniors Spider-Man. Yes, this is a real Lego figure. Back in the day, Lego was obsessed with these Jack Stone figures that were kind of the intermediary step between Duplo and Lego minifigures. Of course, for little kids in the 4-year-old age range. Now, as far as posability goes, you could sit them down. The legs kind of went back just about as far as minifig legs do. The arms moved up, the hands turned side to side, and the head could turn, actually on a full 360 swivel. But beyond that, nothing was removable, nothing customizable. It is fascinating how the printing goes all the way up and over the shoulders. It is a really, really interesting figure, but more so just an interesting historical footnote in LEGO history than an absolute essential to own, unless you're like me and you want to own everything LEGO superheroes ever, in which case you definitely need to track one of these bad boys down. After that, it'd be a full 19 years later before we got another Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. This one, of course, being included in the Spider-Man No Way Home Final Battle set, which, while that movie came out at the end of 2021, the set didn't come out until the summer of 2023. Man, that was so much fun once we finally got that set and got another Tobey Spider-Man. Now, the fairest minifig to compare this against is the original 2004 because they're the closest with that dark blue color scheme. Some of the obvious changes are that with 19 years of innovation, LEGO now does what's called dual molded legs, where you can get 2 colors on the same leg. So instead of them all being dyed or I guess like molded with one color, here they could do the bottom in red and the top in dark blue. One thing that they also switched out was instead of doing the printed hips in the more modern version, they actually put the belt on the torso and then just gave him dark blue hips, whereas on the original, the torso extended down to the hips, and honestly, I think I like that style better. Just for me, I think it suits the Spider-Man Lego style a little bit better, but the other caveat is, when we're talking about Spider-Man suits with webbing, the 2 Tobey figures from 2002 and 2004, respectively, are the only ones that ever did the hip printing on there like that. Yes, we've gotten Spider-Man with hip printing otherwise, but there's never been another Spider-Man with web hip printing other than those 2. Just kind of an interesting anecdote. That being said, though, when we flip the figures around, you can see the backs are very, very different. Whereas you actually have like muscle printing on the back of the modern one, and on the original one, it's a lot more classic Lego with just flat printing. The other thing to point out on the new figure is we can actually remove the head, and that set came with a Peter Parker head, and I honestly think that this looks absolutely nothing like Tobey Maguire. It was a nice sentiment to be able to get another head, so that you could take the mask off, and you could have all 3 Spider-Mans with their masks off hanging out, but unfortunately, I don't think that this head looks anything like Tobey Maguire. Honestly, even winding back, I think that this head looks more like Tobey than this one, but it was nice to get anything at all, like I said, and it's a cool minifig nonetheless. Then in 2025, we got the ripped torso train chase version of Tobey, which is so cool because he's got that angry face like he's holding back the subway train, and it looks absolutely awesome. Now, this was our first ever battle-damaged Spider-Man of any kind. In fact, it's one of our first battle-damaged heroes ever, but it is really incredible to get that ripped torso just like the movie, and I actually do think that this face looks quite a bit like Tobey. We do get a reversible side to the head with an open mouth, and admittedly, I don't think that this side looks quite as much like Tobey as the other does, but come on, with that train chase scene, we all love this facial expression comparatively. Now, as you can see, he does come with a mask, which you can put on the head there, and it works great. That is the exact same head, though, as the No Way Home one that we just looked at a second ago, and putting these side by side, you'll actually see that the torsos are different. Like the way that the abs are printed, slightly different, of course, to accumulate or accommodate rather for those ripped torsos, but the heads are the same. And when we flip around to the back, it's fascinating to me that the differences are slightly different on the back as well. Like this one has a slightly lighter shade of blueprint, and then you can see the like black lines inside of the red are removed on this one. So, you know, just very fascinating all around that they did make some very slight differences between the two, but I think both minifigs are great representations, and I can't believe we're getting new Tobey minifigs 20 plus years after the original movies came out. Man, what a great time to be alive. Alright guys, let me know how many of these minifigs you have, and most importantly, which one is your personal favorite. You know, a lot of times I can pick a favorite, but these mean too much to me. I just couldn't possibly pick a favorite. So let me know what you guys think. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.